Sheer tops. Wearing a see-through top might be perfect for a night out with your friends or your boyfriend, but unless you want to get hauled off to the principal's office when you show up to school, you might want to think twice about wearing them on campus. Most of these blouses show off way too much, and many schools consider them to be a huge distraction in the classroom. There's a time and place for everything, and unfortunately, school is the wrong place for this style of shirt. With the transparent and see-through trends dominating the fashion world, we understand why you'd want to incorporate this in your look into your back-to-school wardrobe. Thankfully, there's a way you can dress a sheer blouse up to make it look a little more acceptable. Wearing a tank top underneath your see-through shirt will ensure that you're all covered up and looking appropriate for school. You can also throw a cute blazer on top to really transform your outfit and make it look classier than ever. When it comes to sheer items, layering is the key to making them look more presentable. But if we were you, we wouldn't even want to risk it. Instead of potentially getting pulled to the side and chewed out for your outfit, we suggest you leave the sheer tops in your closet. Crop tops. Even if your school is located in a region where the temperatures are scorching hot, wearing a crop top on campus is probably not a good idea. These micro shirts that show off your entire midsection became fashion staples in the 70s and 80s. They faded away for a bit, but they finally wiggled their way back into our hearts. Everywhere you go, you're sure to see more than a few people rocking these shirts and showing off their toned tummies. But crop tops are one item that's listed on most schools' dress code violation list. Sure, they look amazing with high-waisted pants, shorts, and skirts, but exposing your stomach during school hours is a no-no. You might offend your teachers and fellow students, and you might even get hit with detention. And who wants to deal with that? When it comes to getting dressed for school, no one expects you to look like you're headed to a corporate office. However, being mindful that what's hot on the weekend isn't always a good idea for the classroom should be taken into consideration. If you have a bunch of crop tops in your wardrobe and you don't want them to go to waste, why not wear them with a long shirt underneath? This way, you can still wear your favorite crop top without showing too much skin and breaking your school's rules. Flip-flops. We know. Flip-flops are the greatest invention ever. They actually date back to 4000 BC. The ancient Egyptians made the sandals out of papyrus, a material that comes from the stem of a water plant. So, if flip-flops were good enough for people of ancient civilizations, they're definitely good enough to wear during modern times, right? Wrong. Many schools see these sandals as a hazard, and there's also a risk that you could really injure yourself on campus. They've also been banned from many schools for being disruptive to the educational process. We think they're referring to the flip-flop sound the sandals make while walking. We agree the noise can be a little distracting at times, but if the whole student body's wearing flip-flops at the same time, then no one would even notice the flopping sound, right? Well, a group of students from a Massachusetts high school thought it was time to get the ban on flip-flops officially removed. They wanted to be able to wear the toe-anchored sandals not only because they're comfortable, but also because they're inexpensive, easy to put on, and look great with practically every outfit. But school officials weren't budging. They stood behind their decision and told the students the sandals were made for the beach and the shower, meaning they weren't appropriate for school. Do you agree? Off-the-shoulder blouses. If you think school dress codes are way too strict these days, you're probably not alone. Many students have fought hard to have their school reconsider some of the clothing rules that have been implemented. A lot of the time, they fail to get the rules reversed, but there's no harm in trying. A group of students at San Benito High School in Hollister, California staged a huge protest against one of the hottest fashion items around, the off-the-shoulder blouse. When some of the students returned to school wearing the shoulder-bearing tops, they were cited for dress code violations. So the girls decided to protest, and they got some help from the male student body. Dozens of male students showed up to class wearing their girlfriends or sisters off-the-shoulder shirts in a sign of solidarity. They argued with school officials that their shirts weren't bothering anyone, nor were they causing physical harm. They were simply making a fashion statement and expressing themselves through their clothing. But as you can guess, the school enforced the rule and moved forward with banning the blouses from their campus. If your school is anything like this high school, we're sure shoulder-bearing tops are a violation as well. It's too bad they can't be worn because they're just too cute to stay shoved in the back of our closets. Pajamas. On college campuses around the world, it's not uncommon to see students show up to class in their pajamas. Many times, they literally just roll out of bed, brush their teeth, and show up to school with whatever they had on the night before. Even in high school and middle school, some kids wear their PJs as a way to make a fashion statement. Some campuses even have special days designated where everyone dresses up in their sleepwear. If you have to sit in a hard chair all day and listen to your teacher go on and on about who knows what, you might as well be comfy, right? That's why PJs are so popular at school. But we're here to tell you why you might want to think twice about wearing them to class. It really shouldn't matter what you show up in, but it's always a good idea to put your best foot forward. It's true that if you look good, you feel even better. A cute outfit has the ability to brighten up your whole day. It puts a little more pep in your step and can make you feel more confident. But wearing your pajamas doesn't have the same effect. You might give the impression that you don't really care about your appearance. The dean of students at a school in Vermont actually banned pajama bottoms and slippers from his campus. He basically said students who come to school in their PJs show a lack of motivation. Low-rise pants. Back in the early 2000s, Britney Spears and Paris Hilton made low-rise pants the hottest accessory in the fashion industry. But we're not talking about pants that hung just below the navel. No, we're talking about ultra-low-rise jeans that exposed their entire midsection. It really made us wonder how they were able to walk around and sit down comfortably, but they made it work and looked amazing while they were at it. Years later, the low-rise pants trend returned. If you have a few pairs of these jeans in your closet, you probably wondered if there was a way you could wear them to school. Well, the answer is probably not. Many schools have very strict policies about these jeans, and we don't see that changing anytime soon. We can imagine they'd cause a lot of issues throughout the school day. Can you picture what would happen as soon as you sat down at your desk with a pair of low-rise jeans on? You'd probably end up showing a little more than you had bargained for. Also, something as simple as walking up a flight of stairs could expose your backside to whoever was walking behind you. Basically, low-rise jeans are trendy and look great, but they're way more of a hassle than they're worth when it comes to wearing them to school. If you want to be comfortable throughout the day and not worry about flashing your classmates or teachers, stick to mid-rise or high-waisted jeans instead. Statement sleeves. The next item is probably not a violation of your school dress code, but it's one of those impractical fashion items that will make your day more challenging. The fashion world has always been obsessing with statement sleeves and exaggerating shoulders, but this next trend took things to another level. Normal length sleeves are a thing of the past. Instead, fashion brands are now producing t-shirts and sweaters that have sleeves so long they look like you could jump rope with them. If you think this style trend would look great on you, you're probably right, but school might not be the right place to give these statement sleeves a shot. Can you imagine trying to take a pop quiz while wearing a shirt with super long sleeves? The sleeves would get in your way and you might accidentally end up writing all over the fabric. Now that would be a disaster, don't you think? Or what about when you raise your hand to answer a question? You might get all wrapped up in your sleeves and have to beg your crush to help untangle you. Okay, so maybe that wouldn't be such a horrible thing after all. But our point is, these sleeves are bound to get in the way and cause you all sorts of problems throughout the day. We'd probably roll them up to a more comfortable length or just skip out on wearing these statement sleeves to school entirely. Plunging V-neck. There's nothing wrong with wearing a cute V-neck top, but a plunging V-neck shirt is really pushing it. When it comes to dressing for school, there's an easy way to stay on your teachers' and the staff's good side. If you choose to wear clothing that's considered modest, you'll usually avoid getting written up. If a shirt would look better at a party or on a date with your crush, it might not be a good option for your school wardrobe. While in class, low plunge tops will probably make you turn heads for all the wrong reasons. You might think the majority of school dress code rules are outdated, but it doesn't change the fact that these rules are still enforced at schools around the globe. At Woodford County High School in Kentucky, one student was sent home early for wearing a V-neck shirt because it exposed her collarbone. Another student was reprimanded by her gym teacher for wearing a V-neck top in gym class. Sometimes schools take things way too far when it comes to telling students what to wear, but breaking the rules will cause even more problems for you. If you want your school year to be memorable, and if you want to avoid any altercations with the staff, something like a plunging V-neck shirt should definitely be left at home. Stilettos. Wouldn't it be cool to show up to school channeling your inner gossip girl? Serena, Blair, and the rest of the characters were always dressed to impress, even when they were headed off to school. They wore the cutest, preppiest outfits, and they hardly ever left home without their stilettos. But if you're thinking of wearing your tallest, spikiest heels to school, you might want to think twice. Sure, you'll look like you just stepped off of a fashion runway, but high heels are a pain to wear on campus. To start, they're not always the most comfortable footwear option, and by the end of the day, your feet will be begging for mercy. But not only that, even the most popular supermodels will tell you that walking in heels isn't always easy. You could probably get away with wearing them for a few hours, but for the entire school day, not a chance. There's also the possibility that you might trip and fall, sprain your ankle, or go flying down a flight of stairs. And you already know what happens in school doesn't always stay in school. Someone just might film you as you fall on your face and post it all over social media. You wouldn't want that to happen, would you? If you really want to wear heels to class, your best bet is to go with the more practical pair of shoes, like a block heel that's sturdier and much easier to balance on. Mini dress. This may seem like a no-brainer, but countless students attempt to wear these tiny dresses to school and they end up failing miserably. To find out why mini dresses are such a bad idea, we don't need to look any further than this picture of actress Katie Holmes. Of course, she wasn't in a classroom when she stepped out in this denim number, but it doesn't change the fact that her tiny dress ended up being a horrible idea. To start, the length was all wrong and she constantly had to tug at the fabric to make sure she didn't expose herself. While bending over to shop at a local market, Katie was putting on a show and she didn't even know it. She finally realized her dress was a fashion disaster, so she ended up tying a plaid shirt around her waist to cover herself up. So what have we learned from this? Well, mini dresses can look really awesome if they're the right length, cut, and style. However, many schools wouldn't let you get past the front gate if you showed up wearing something like this. Instead, try wearing a long denim skirt. It's still a very trendy look, but you won't have to worry about accidentally flashing your assets while you're wearing it. It'll cover you up in all the right places, and it's much more appropriate for your back-to-school wardrobe.